Hello and welcome to Hayridge Model Rail. I'm Alan. In this video I make a start on the track lane from the Terminus station through to the tunnel stroke fill yard. So join me as I get started. Well, hopefully you can see pencil lines. So I've got the two platforms. Drawn out, and then we've got the terminus where the little station's going to go. And there should be enough space in between for the two running lines, which will then go down into a single line across the baseboard join before entering a tunnel stroke fiddle yard and disappearing from view, which will give us a little bit of operational interest. And then there's obviously the good sidings, which will go nearer the front, which will be worked on at a later date. So I've moved inside because it's been raining and the weather's been terrible all weekend. I have been busy with other things, so boards are laid up inside and I've started laying track. So I've marked out my platforms, I've put some marker pen down so it makes it a bit easier to see everything. Got my crossover in and I've allowed enough room for my Mark 1 coach to go through. So really looking at possibly the biggest locomotives to go through will be the same size as a Mark 1 coach for this part. And I've just started marking out where the first point motor or servo will need to go. So I've got to drill that. And then that leaves this section to be filled up. So I'm going to start marking out the point motors, get them drilled, and then we'll move on from there. Okay, so I've now cut the cork back after drilling the holes for the servo motors to go underneath. So we can move on now to the next part of track lane, which will probably be finishing off the section in this area, which is the head shunt, and then back onto the goods yard, which will be down here. So we are once again inside due to the weather, and I've done a little bit of research to work out what I can and can't do with the ABC braking that I'm planning on using. And I can use it directionally, so I can use it in either direction. So now that I know that, I'm going to swap out these two fish plates for insulated rail joiners so that we can get some trains to pull in and out of the station. So we're going to work on that, and I'll be back once I've put them in place. I've added the insulated rail joiners and connect the track back up, and then repin the track onto the cork and the baseboard, and then I will offer up some track to do the next section. So as you can see, I'm hoping small terminus station, probably just two coaches in the station and a loco, maybe DMUs, 2 or 3 car, just shuttling backwards and forwards, and then some good sidings to do a little bit of shunting. And my plan is that possibly we can leave this end of the board open to expansion in the future, so that I can just keep building modules to form a complete layout which can have sections taken out to maybe take to an exhibition or something like that. But start small, something to work on, something to build with, and then go from there. I've got the points reattached now. I've got my 2 insulating rail joiners in place. So now I'm going to work on this section. I will need to go and grab another point. I need to bring a small section of track down before the point goes back on itself. So I'll get everything sorted and we'll get that laid out. I've fitted the first bit of track going down into the goods yard section, and it's long enough to hold a loco. Next will be the point, which will bring us back into the sidings, which I need to go and grab, and then we'll be putting that in place. Right, so I'm back working on the layout, and I've decided to move on to the other side of the baseboard and work out where the 2 fiddle yard sections are going to be, which will be hidden by a single track tunnel. So I need to get them as close to the edge, but I also need to give myself a little bit of space because I've got controls to put down here somewhere as well. So I've roughly lined up the track for my spacing. So that's going to be the outer of the 2 tracks. And I'm going to bend in the second of the tracks and get that fitted and put some cork underneath and get that just pinned down temporary so that I can mark out where the point motor's got to go. So I've laid the 2 sections of track which will be hidden underneath the tunnel, and now I am going to offer up the small straight or small section in between the station and the fiddle yard section. Not a very long section, but enough to allow the trains to come out of a tunnel and into the terminus station that I'm going to build. So we will get that marked up and offer it up, and yep, we'll go from there. We're back with the completed section. So now I have a full line running from the fiddle yard under the tunnel right up to the station, and I've introduced a slight curve which adds a little bit of interest to the trains as they come out. I've taken sleepers out ready to fit the rail aligner, which I've got to get down at some point. Yep, I'm going to run a coach up and down just to see how it all works now, and then we'll be moving on. So I've marked the position and hole for the point motor or the servo, and with everything back in place and plastic rail joiners where needed, I've pinned the track back down and trimmed away the cork. So the next part is this section.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.